Hi everyone, Mike here from Pivot Search in the first of our discussions about 5 innovations to expect in the robotics market in the next 5 years. Today I'm with Daryl Adams, the Director of Sales at Gideon Brothers. Thank you for joining us, Daryl.
Lovely to be here, and looking forward to chatting about some exciting things for sure.
Thanks for coming. So when we first started talking, you mentioned that you wanted to talk about human-like interactions with the world, and that could include things like grippers, vision systems, various other, components, and even software. So can you tell me a little bit more about this and why you think it's going to be important over the next 5 years or so?
For sure. To give you a little understanding on that, though, just to step back, so Gideon Brothers deals with AI as the foundation, one of the foundation stones of our autonomous mobile robots, or AMRs, and also 3D vision systems. So we see that, those two coming together to actually add exactly what we're talking about, that human-like interaction. But aside to that, my experience in robotics also sees, as you mentioned, the addition of end effectors to articulated robots being really critical, and 3D vision or 2.5D vision for those systems as well. The autonomous use of those systems will also, grow and continue to take some of the error away from the human activity that we see currently. And let's be really frank, the entire environment that humans work in are designed, developed to work around humans. So if you're not human-like in the way you operate or the way you perceive your environment, you're actually in a whole world of trouble straight off the bat, which is why, you look at the large companies like Boston Dynamics, they're working on two-legged robots, because walking up and down stairs is infinitely harder with 4. So things like that will continue to drive a human-like robot existence in what we do inside our factories and inside our homes and workplaces, for sure.
So why is it important to actually have this technology in those environments?
Really, because the environments were traditionally developed to deal with humans. Humans are quite good at making complex decisions around where things sit, around how to maneuver around objects or around the things in space that they're maneuvering around. And robots till now, and still now, honestly, are not really at the point where they can make those decisions terribly well without human intervention. And again, that's where the AI part really comes into this, to help drive those human-like interventions from the robots themselves. And, something as simple as figuring out when they don't know how to do something and asking the human to get involved to make sure that they don't do something foolish, dangerous, or otherwise unexpected.
So is this technology that's here today, or is this something that's in the pipeline?
I think for certain applications it's here. I mean, we can expand this out into things like what we see happening with Tesla on-road vehicles and other on-road vehicles as well, that are seeing the world through a different lens and starting to get to the point where they're now fully autonomous, or can be fully autonomous. Certainly for autonomous mobile robots, or what we do at Gideon, we certainly see we're getting to the point with our product now that we have the capability to deal with, well, for starters, just humans, which is a nice step up from robots of the past. But additionally, dealing with human environments and being able to deal with simple things that are around us that humans would just walk over or around, that traditionally robotics would drive into, certainly autonomous mobile robots. But there is still we still have some work to do in terms of the broader picture. We're certainly driving a cutting edge technology, but it's still not perfect. It's perfect in terms of what we need it to do right now, but in terms of what humans can do with these robots, or sorry, with standard product, or the forklifts of the world and things like that. We're not quite there yet, and nobody's quite there yet. I think same holds true for articulated robots, and I think many other robots that are used in the industrial space. We're not yet seeing the world in 3D and using the depth perception that comes along with that. Yep. We're not yet smelling the world, for example. The simple things, the force feedback on the articulated end effectors is not yet there to the same standard, to the same level as what the simple human touch is. So we have a long way to go in some aspects of what we do, but we've come a long way as well. I think we've got, probably 80% done, and we've got the hard 20% left to do in the world of robotics. No matter who that is out there, I think there's a lot of work to do to get that last 20%, which gives the true human nature and the human responses to what's happening in the real world.
And it's all about the robots working with the humans, not a replacement of lights out facility kind of thing. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, one of the chief questions I always have from people who work on shop floors is, will this replace me? It's a common question. I mean, it's a common fear, and I understand why it's there. Realistically, we're still a way away from that. I firmly believe that we've got some time before that becomes a real problem. And when that does become a real problem, I also believe that we will have matured enough as a society to deal with the outcomes of that, as we have with other things in the past that have maneuvered people out of particular, again, piece of phraseology, the dirty, dull and dangerous jobs that are out there. I think we've got some work to do on a societal level as well to truly understand how we can support individuals who are working in those jobs right now. And I think we will get there. It's happened again in the past. It'll happen in the future, no doubt at all. I mean, my perfect view to utopia is that we're all replaced by robots, and I'll happily sit on a beach drinking a pina colada while a robot salesman wanders around in my territory and deals with the directorship of the sales that I have to deal with. That's my perfect scenario, but I think that's a little way away at this point.
I mean, that is an interesting point, not to take it literally, but a lot of remote-based technologies, people working from home and being able to control factories, facilities, whatever it may be, from their computer. Something that I've seen come up more and more, and I guess probably something that you guys are trying to do as well at Gideon. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to do it a little differently in that the robot does it itself. It makes those decisions of its own discretion effectively. But that said, when there is an issue, that something that can't be identified or maneuvered around or whatever the problem might be, that interaction can absolutely be remote. So that's really the idea now of this, and along with a lot of other technologies that are coming together at the same point, like 5G, it gives you the capability to potentially make those movements real time with real time feedback, no matter where you are in the world. I think the last year, 18 months that we've seen with Corona wreaking havoc throughout the world of the workforce and, the way we used to live, that has really driven a lot of companies to make decisions around automating projects, especially around autonomy, so that the people who are making those decisions can be making them from the comfort and safety of their own house rather than having to be in the workplace. So that's a stark change over the last 18 months. And I think there'll be very few positives that come from Corona, but one of them may be the fact that in future we can deal with things remotely a lot more effectively than we have to date. So that's an exciting project, an exciting prospect that's come from a really horrible time in humanity's short life. But I think it has driven some technology advancement on the cusp of that as well.
I know Gideon Brothers is a fairly new business. Can you tell me a little bit about what they do and I guess what we can expect from them over the coming years?
Yeah, we are a new business for sure, but I think the vast majority of the AI technical businesses are quite new. You know, realistically, the computing power to drive what we do has only been available for the last 5 to 7 years. So with that in mind, we're actually reasonably old in the space, but quite new in terms of years. I do say though, in Gideon Brothers, it is like dog years for sure. There's every year does feel like 7. I've been around the company now only for a short period of time, just over 2 months, in fact. But I can say that in that 2 month period, my understanding of the world of certainly autonomous robotics and autonomous thought around AI has grown exponentially. Yeah. But and I'm sure over the next 6 years that the dog years will really start to kick off. Anyway, so what we do ultimately is predominantly we started as an AI company, and we were looking for a technology to see where that would fit to an industry to see where that would fit. And we found the autonomous robot space. That has been our bread and butter since the beginning, developing things around how our robots see the world. Unfortunately, like a lot of leading companies, the issue becomes then having the mechanisms for starters, and also the additional ancillary technology to drive that. So we discovered pretty early that the available camera technology was not up to what we needed it to be able to deal with the environments that we're dealing with on a daily basis. So that then spawned some more engineers in our business, and also a whole different subset which deals with 3D cameras, and with a bent particularly for autonomous robots. So we're involved in everything from the AI stack that drives the autonomy, through to the vision, through to the mechanical systems itself that actually operate the vehicle, all the way up to the manufacturing execution system, or the warehouse management system that sits above all of these control systems. So it's an interesting place to be, because I think we've got now 10 PhDs in the business, which makes it that I am regularly not the smartest man in the room, which is quite an interesting concept. Not that it's regular, but certainly keeping up with these guys is very difficult in a lot of ways. The future looks really interesting, because with the 3D vision and the AI stack that's been developed, it gives us the capability to do really, really interesting things, like dealing with outdoor spaces, dealing with purely 3D navigation without the need for LiDAR systems, with the exception of safety functionality. So actually navigating 100% through vision, through a dynamic environment, which is really entirely different to how anyone else is dealing with these spaces at the moment. And again, that, coming back to the human style of dealing with the outside world, that really is the ultimate, being able to walk around effectively using your simple binocular vision to navigate, to understand what's there, to deal with the environment, is what we're looking to do very, very, very soon. So outdoors is on the cusp of being done. We have some proof work that we've already done to get robots outdoors. That's industrial robots into an outdoor environment. So that, combined with our capability to deal with pallet orientation and things like that, opens up some really exciting possibilities around how we deal with some of the 100% human operations at the moment. Lifting pallets in and out of trucks, for example, being something that is an exciting prospect for the future for us.
It's all about that harmony between human, robot, almost not noticing they're there kind of thing, but making it so much better in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the human is a long way from being removed from this equation. There's no doubt about that. But every step we take in that direction generally provides a safer environment for the people who are there, and also provides a solution that realistically drives a whole lot of benefit throughout the supply chain, not only the supply chain, but throughout the broader business context. The reduction in supply chain costs obviously reduces the cost of goods sold. So you end up with a scenario where the whole world sees a reduction in their cost base, which is a nice place to be, given that certainly in some places the incoming salary is fairly quickly absorbed by the outgoing requirements. So I think there's a lot of benefit around what we do just in that context as well.
Yeah, there is a labour shortage in a lot of warehousing markets, isn't there? Which I don't think a lot of people actually know about. So I would imagine your technology is, going to help a lot of companies in that sense as well. So I think it's very easy to focus on a robot may take a job, but the fact is they can't fill them jobs anyway.
Yeah, certainly labour variability is a real struggle in most robotics, I should say in most industrial settings at the moment, and especially when you get to anything that's even remotely specialised. Historically working with articulated robots, I can say that there's a lot of robots out there now doing welding, simple welding jobs in job shops and also in production lines. The sole reason that they're there is because it's very difficult to find a qualified person who can actually operate a welder these days. And that's no different amongst the people who are driving forklifts in the logistics centres or any other form of product movement inside logistics, or even through to things like airline loading, unloading. There's a whole lot of people there that just simply aren't available. I think as a species, humans in some regards get to a point where they start to consider certain roles something that they don't wish to do anymore, and along with that, you start to lose the urge to come to work when those roles fit into that particular category. So what happens then is not just necessarily a shortage, but also the variability that comes along with that. So I have an example where one of the people that I was working with added a 30% headcount to their business purely to deal with the fact that people wouldn't arrive on a Monday and a Friday, because the Friday they were headed to the beach, and the Monday they were recovering from the hangover that they generated on the Sunday. So there's some other facets to be taken in there around labour as well. It's not just people not being available for work, but also in some cases people not turning up to work that make life a little more difficult for the people trying to keep their business operating. We certainly see ourselves filling that gap for sure, in both facets. The peak loads that you see throughout the year or throughout the week is something that we can deal with in an additional setting, after hours, things like that. But also just not having people there to drive the forklifts or to drive the vehicles is something that we deal with on a daily basis as well.
It's an interesting topic.
Mm.
So what, I guess other than what we've covered already, is there anything else we can expect from Gideon, or any exciting news for the time being?
Well, I think certainly out of us, there'll be a lot of exciting news over the next. Well, it'll start very soon, but over the next 12 to 18 months, there's a lot on the cusp of being finalised for us. But ultimately, I think the whole market of autonomous vehicles or articulated robots, I continue to see use cases available throughout the world, and different and varied and crazy things that perhaps people hadn't thought of in the past where they're being used. So I think it's an exciting time to be part of the world of robotics, and with that in mind, I'll offer a plug there as well. I think it's a nice place to be, not only Gideon Brothers but many other robotics companies, in that we're hunting for 30 people right now to try and fill the holes that we have in our business, and I'm sure there's many other companies. In fact, I know there's many other companies in a similar vein that are hunting people in a time when yourself. Certainly, it wasn't a focus over the last 18 months that might be the case for a lot of businesses. So it's exciting for that regard as well, to see new people coming into the business, potentially people with skill sets outside of the world of robotics as well, that are bringing in new ideas, and again, opening up those crazy ideas that we hadn't perhaps thought of because we were so focused on what we thought was important, only to find out that it wasn't. But it's an interesting time to be, certainly in robotics or in automation in general, around what's being driven, certainly out of COVID, but in general, the whole industry is moving forward quickly.
I appreciate some topics will be confidential, but are there any crazy ideas that you can share with us, just for the benefit of those who are watching?
I think the most exciting thing for us is in the near term or the mid-term, you'll see a fully autonomous outdoor navigation robot that uses 3D binocular vision and artificial intelligence to navigate the space that is the world as we know it. So that will be indoor and outdoor solution that look, we're really excited about. We've been working very hard on the 3D autonomy stack to allow that to happen, and we're a long way along that, and I think, in the next 12 months there'll be some very exciting news coming out of Gideon Brothers around where that's being used and who it's being used by, for sure.
Good. Well, I very much look forward to it, and I really appreciate your time today. Thank you for making a few minutes to talk with me here. Really looking forward to seeing the future in Gideon Brothers and beyond as well. And thank you very much again. Really appreciate it, Darryl.
No problem at all. It was lovely to talk to you as always.